Oh, all right, everybody. Welcome to Chatter with Statter, running way late today. So glad to see that we have got a crowd lining up for the chatter today. I am Mad Statter. You are the Chatterbox crew, and I am super stoked to see all y'all here hanging out, just waiting. Looks like we've got the usual crew, Darlene, Rick, and Cola T. That makes me so happy. And yes, Rick, we have got that 1080 broadcast. By the way, in case I didn't mention it, it is a little after 5 p.m. West Coast time, a little after 2 p.m. Hawaii time, and a little after 8 p.m. East Coast time. Glenn, I see you over there in Europe, and you're going to have to tell me what time it is for you because I've got no idea. Looks like we've got eMusic hanging out. Of course, Kenny from the Cove is here as well. Let's see who else. Maybe I think perhaps we've got everyone here. Kenny, Darlene, Rick, Glenn, Andre, hey, how you doing? All right. So now that we've gathered, waiting with bated breath, I guess it is time to get this party started. All right, just past 2 a.m. in Spain. It sounds like, goodness gracious, if you can keep up with the chat, I am super impressed, Glenn. No worries about falling asleep last night in the middle of the movie. It's kind of halfway what the movies are for, right? Exactly. So today is May Day, and May Day has so many different meanings depending upon where you are in the world. Now, where I am in my world, what May Day means, hey there, Elaine, good to see you. All right then. So we are talking about May Day right now, and it looks like Andre just got back from Vallejo and a lei festival. Oh, awesome. It sounds like there was some Hawaiian community festival there celebrating Lei Day. Not something that is normal on the mainland United States for most communities. I remember when I was born, I do not remember when I was born. Growing up, being born on Oahu in Hawaii Islands, I remember the Lei Day festivals, and I never thought anything of it. And then I got to the continental United States, and we didn't celebrate Lei Day, but young kids in the school district that I was growing up in, we did celebrate May Day, and May Day was when you brought your mom flowers. Now, where the kids are supposed to get the flowers is a different story entirely. Newsflash, we picked them on the way home from school. Probably weeds, dandelions, But I remember making a little paper basket that I was supposed to hang on the door with flowers in it for my mom on May Day. And so that sort of seemed to be the equivalent of what we had here on the mainland for Lei Day. But then, of course, as we get older, we certainly didn't celebrate any, that was a kindergarten, first grade kind of thing, making paper baskets to give your mom flowers in. After that, May Day never really was much of a topic here on the continental United States, even though it is an actual festival in one of our states. So let's see here. It looks like a couple more folks have come in. Let's see here. And then Andre says, you grew up in Berkeley and May Day had nothing to do with flowers. Exactly. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. In fact, getting a whole bunch of things together for this stream was part of the reason why I was extraordinarily late. On this stream, I went down a rabbit hole, and suddenly I looked up and it was 5 p.m. and I hadn't done a few things that I needed to do. So right now we're going to be talking about all the different things that May Day can mean to different people. And let's see here. You kept a journal at a very early age. You were reading it today. Your last entry was May 4th, 1966, still tired from the move. That's so cute. That's so cute. Rick, exactly. May Day around Milwaukee is not a celebration. It's more about Workers' Day. Precisely. In fact, let's see here. Nope, I don't. All right. That is part of what we're going to talk about today. I even had pictures, but I don't have the pictures downloaded to my system yet. So we're not going to talk about the pictures that I have for the Workers' Day, but that is exactly what I did want to talk about. Oh, you know what? Gall dung it. Let's see here. How can I do this? I really do want to get this one graphic for the Workers' Day. So you know what I'm going to do instead, while I finish prepping for this particular stream, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what May Day is in my neck of the woods. And what May Day is in my neck of the woods is Zippy's Giant Burgers birthday. That is right. Zippy's Giant Burgers was born on May 1st, 2008, which means they are 14 years old now. And so if you are familiar, if you are a member of if you subscribe to my Twitch stream, you will have access to an emote that looks a little bit like that, like what I just popped up there on the chat screen. And that is the Zippy's Yum Boy. And he's just so cute. I made an emote out of him. But if you notice, he also is Zippy's logo. And while you guys are looking at burgers that are delicious and wonderful, what I'm actually going to do is see if I can find, let's see here. See if I can find what I wanted to find, and I didn't have the time to find it because I made poor life choices. And Zippy's actually did start up. Here we go. Zippy's did start up on May 1st for in reference to International Workers' Day, because the owners wanted to provide a good meal for the workers. They very specifically did choose May 1st as their opening date for that reason. And all right, here we go. This is what I tried to do, although it's a little bit different than what I downloaded. But hey, here's the graphic I was looking at. So check this out. Hey, Mike Redmond, good to see you. Welcome to Chatter with Statter. Right now, we are talking about May Day and all of the different types of things May Day could be. I don't know what you just posted there, but you can't post hot links, and you might have posted something that was, verboten. So we tried to practice aloha here, Mike Redmond, and if you can hang out and be cool, then we would love you to hang out. So anyway, now back to May Day, shall we say? Alrighty, here. Check this out. May Day was originally determined, let's see here. May 1st was chosen as the International Workers' Day that Andre and Rick were sort of referring to in regards to the workers' movement of May 1st. And it was decided by the Marxist International Society of Congress in 1889 in their meeting in Paris that May 1st would be recognized as International Workers' Day. And even though the United States does not take an official holiday on May 1st, we, along with many other countries, do recognize a Workers' Day. And this clip that I've got, this graphic that I've got on the screen right here, every place in red is a place that recognizes International Workers' Day as a holiday on May 1st. Now, all the green splotches, they have a Workers' Day as well, like the United States, but it's celebrated on a different day other than May 1st. But as you can see, across the world, May 1st is definitely considered the day to recognize workers' rights. And it, I believe, has a lot to do with how in 1886, May 1st is when a major strike in America started to fight for that 8-hour workday that we're all used to. Andre, what about that yellow? That is a really good question, and I don't have an answer to it, but let's see if I can find the nope, the key to the graphic apparently did not transfer in. I actually don't know what the yellow is. And so while we're maybe looking at something else, I might have to go find out what that those yellow countries are. The countries in white or gray, depending upon how they're coming through on your screen, those countries don't celebrate any or recognize any Workers' Day at all. So I'm going to assume that the yellow ones recognize it on some day, but maybe, I really don't know. I'm going to definitely have to look into that. Sorry about that, you guys. But, Glenn Paul, you remember May 1968, you were in Paris by complete coincidence with your wife. Well, that was 100 years after when the Marxists decided that May 1st was going to be the day to recognize internationally workers. Now, before you get all freaked out with, what? The Marxists? Aren't those crazy communists? Well, you can say that if you want, but the American Federation of Labor also declared May 1st as Workers' Day. So it really, you can call it a Marxist, you can call it American. It is what it is. It is both. And and there you have it. So it looks like Poppy Shawnee came in while I was babbling about Workers' Day. Good to see you, Poppy Shawnee. And let me get my face back there on the thing. And let's see here. Let's see. I am looking to see your wife. Oh, Glenn Paul. She wasn't your wife at that point, but it was in the works. Nice. Sounds like it was maybe a good trip to Paris for sure. And let's see here. It looks like Poppy Shawnee, for those who don't know, Poppy Shawnee is a pilot. And so it sounds like he made a video for his grandson Anson where he was making a cloud. I have not seen this video, so I'm not sure what's going on, but Poppy Shawnee says, to Darlene, I was on a training and our mission took us over our house on the way back to base. You texted Tracy and said, be outside at a certain time. Anson had no idea the airplane can do that. Oh, that is so neat, Poppy Shawnee. I don't know where this video exists, but I need to see it because that looks super, super cute. So let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, not seeing anywhere on that graphic where workers actually run the show, so to speak. Must be because I'm streaming this on your phone. Oh, well, no, actually, I'm pretty sure, there aren't very many places in the world where the workers actually run the show. I mean, as a general rule, even the communist nations have a dictatorship, and so the dictator rules the roost. And then the former communist nations, which formerly had a dictatorship, well, they're places like Russia, which are now capitalist countries, but with a dictatorship. So, I'm not really sure that there's many countries around the world where the workers actually rule the roost, but so I'm not sure that graphic is going to reflect that at all. And, remember you guys, Paris 1868 is when the International Workers' Day was determined, not 1968. So we are talking about a completely different century. May Day has been around for a very, very long time. Not quite as long as the Maypole dance, of which that is sort of what that picture is. And I can tell you right now, I once did have a Maypole dance attempt when I was in preschool in Hawaii, and the preschool teachers decided for whatever reason that it was a brilliant idea to give a bunch of 2 to 4-year-olds ribbons attached to a pole, and somehow we were going to do a dance that was going to weave the ribbons into some sort of something. Needless to say, that did not happen. If you can imagine, there was no rehearsal, there was no real explanation. It was just a case of follow your teacher. And I don't even remember how long it lasted, but the attempt, I feel as though the attempt really never, not only didn't happen, it really never got started. Can you imagine being a preschool teacher and trying to herd all those children into a maypole dance, I don't know what they were thinking. So let's see here. Looks like Glenn Paul talking about that trip to Paris. She was the love of your life and you miss her very much. She was heartbroken when Notre Dame burned down a few years ago. I hope they rebuild it the same as it was. Such a lovely building. Yeah, I don't really know if they could rebuild it the same as it was, in the sense that, it was here. There we go. Let me get my face back on the screen. I don't know, if that would work. I mean, I don't think well, okay, first off, I don't know what I'm talking about. Second off, I'm not a structural engineer. Third off, I'm not an architect. Fourth off, I don't know what I'm talking about. But what will they be able to do that, do you think, Glenn, or anybody? Because I know that the structure obviously was wooden. And so are they going to rebuild it with wood, which doesn't seem like a good plan. I don't even know where they would get the lumber. Anyway, so that's a whole other issue. But then, so you've got the steel beam type thing. Would the wooden structure underneath even be able to hold the steel structure that might replace it? So I don't know. So yeah, Glenn, you probably know better maybe than everybody else here. Well, you know better than I do. What are their plans for Notre Dame? Like, what are they going to do? Because now that I think about it, I mean, can they rebuild it? Yeah, obviously I don't know. And let's see here. Rick, a May Day protest in 1886 in Milwaukee called the Bayview Rolling Mill Massacre, where 6 or 7 workers died under state troops brought in by the owners. Same time as the Chicago Haymarket Square riot. Yeah, and I think all these riots were sort of coordinated. Now, Rick, anyone, this is what I don't know. This is another area where I don't know what I'm talking about. But I think all of those strikes were coordinated strikes in that, because it was 1886. That was the 8-hour workday strike. It was a general labor strike. So general labor means all of the labor, right? I'm thinking that was what really prompted this whole May Day thing. And so, 8-hour workday is something that people literally died for which is why on May 1st we do the world tries to honor the workers who have gone on strike for the rights that we all currently have. And Andre, they never made us do the Maypole dance. They just tortured us with square dancing. Yeah, that. Yep. And oh, hey, Sket Beans, good to see you. Sorry, I am so far behind the chat. All right, let's go down. So let's see here. We got further down on the chat here. Glenn Paul and I sound like we know about the same amount. I don't know much about building either. I just live in hope. I'm sure the old methods of building are long since forgotten now. Well, and not just the old building methods, but like the actual materials. Lumber today is not the same as the lumber that was back in the day. My best guess is that was some pretty intense, dense, older growth type lumber that they used. And that kind of lumber just literally, they literally don't grow it like that anymore. And so, it's not there, right? And Elaine, you did the Maypole dance. You practiced several times. Exactly, because you have to go up and down, over and under it, weaved the ribbons onto the pole until the end of the song. It's nice. It is. It's the coolest thing ever. When a Maypole dance is done right, it is flippin' awesome to see that like incredibly intricate ribbon pattern that goes down the pole. But you can't expect a bunch of 2 to 4 year olds to A, be able to do that, and B, be able to do that without rehearsal. I mean, it was just, I was eager to learn how to do it, but even I, shortly into it, I'm, all of 3 years old, but it's like, even I was just like, oh, this is not going to work. You could just tell none of the kids knew. I mean, most of the kids, it was the first time they'd ever heard of or seen a maypole. They didn't even understand. I know I didn't understand how the ribbons were supposed to look by the time it was over. It wasn't until I was like way older that I was just like, oh, that's what they were trying to do to us when I was, in a kid. Hey there, TCon 1501. What is my favorite car? That is a very good question. It all depends on what I would use the car for. But I have to say, I do have a soft spot in my heart for Corvettes, which is really silly. But as far as cars that I like to drive, I am a manual transmission girl who likes my Subaru. That is how that works. So, Andre, have you ever had to move a class of preschools on a simple fire drill? No, I haven't, but you, Andre, sound like you have. And my best guess is you, Andre, if you have had to move preschoolers for a simple fire drill, you understand the complete insanity it must have been for those preschool teachers to think that they could teach a bunch of preschool kids how to do a maypole dance without any kind of rehearsal. I'm thinking if you're not pointing and laughing at the screen at this idea, you're crying in the corner at the nightmare of it, because it's one of those two things. And exactly, Kenny, anything with pre-K and K kids can often be looked at like herding chickens. Precisely. I was one of the chickens that was being herded. And even I was like, oh, this isn't, yeah, no. I mean, it was just the dumbest idea. I guess it was the dumbest idea, but I still have memory of it. So, hey, whatever. And, okay, so I'm scrolling back up, to see what I missed, because I missed a bunch of stuff. And let's see here. It looks like, Pacola T, you were on the Lay Day court, in 1st and 8th grade. I don't know what that means, but that sounds fancy. Did you get to wear a special lei? And let's see here. Andre, you bring up a good point. Andre says, you'll be amazed at what the French can rebuild. So many old cities that were bombed out of existence were rebuilt. So if anybody can do it, the French can. Yeah, but a lot of that stuff was masonry. See, it's the wood that I've really got the issue with. But you do bring up a good point. And let's see here. Let's see here. Wow. Okay. So, Rick, you live about a mile from the massacre historical marker, about over 1,500 protesters over a number of days, then the violence in 1886. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it was 1886 that what was it? I have notes. It was the, American Federation of Labor, that they declared that, May 1st would be a good day to honor the workers. But it wasn't until 1889 that the Marxists made it a worldwide declaration at this conference in Paris. So Maypole is older than Workers' Day for May Day, but not by much. Well, okay, by a lot actually, but still, International Workers' Day is a very old holiday in our area or in our world. And unfortunately, the United States, because we have Labor Day on a different day, a lot of people who are outside of the areas that had the political violence, Rick, obviously very close to where it all happened, where it all went down. But a lot of people have no idea that May Day is anything other than the beginning of spring, as it were. So, let's see here. Rick. Okay, hold on. I'm very excited about this, but I have to drink a little bit of soda before I read it, because this is awesome. Rick says, at the time they built Notre Dame, they also planted a grove of trees, and they're using those trees now for rebuilding the structure? Dude, pardon me for being all intelligent sounding by saying, dude, wow, awesome. That is really neat. Because, those are some, that's going to be some old lumber, an old lumber that hasn't been commercially grown, grows differently and more densely than those that, that are just meant to be planted, as it were. That was a very piss poor example or summary of the different types of lumber there are to be building with, but we're just going to go with that for now. So that is super awesome that that grove of trees that they planted, it's almost like they planted their spare parts. And let's see here. Let's see here. Pocola tea. Oh, okay. So May Day is Lay Day. May Day is Lay Day in Hawaii. I know that. But we're going to talk about that. There's a royal court though with princes and princesses representing the different islands. Okay. Pocola tea. Heading to the grocery. All right, cool. We'll see you when you get back, hopefully. And Kenny, if you sandwich together enough boards the right way, i.e. laminate wood beams, they can support a surprising amount of weight. Okay. All right. Well, well, I have to say, you can build wooden beams now, whatever size you need them. That is true to a degree. But I grew up in a shipbuilding town where the Navy actually dry docks their ships and repairs them. And I know that there are certain types of wood that are required when supporting these dry dock ships that cannot be made. It is old growth, densely grained wood that is required for these things. Now, wood laminating technology in the last 20 years or so may have changed to where you can create wood that is strong enough for anything and everything. But I can tell you from the people that I know who work at the shipyard that repair the Navy boats when they're in dry dock, they require virgin lumber. It requires it. They don't use anything but virgin lumber. And it's a certain type of virgin lumber. It's old growth, it's densely grained, and it's not laminated together. So, I don't know whether or not what they made Notre Dame with falls under, or the type of wood that can support the structure that Notre Dame was, and perhaps will be. All I'm saying is, some wood is better than others, and some wood there's no substitute for, or at least there wasn't 20 years ago. And before 20 years ago. But I don't know if you know this. A lot has changed in 20 years. So I totally could be wrong. I totally could be wrong about that. Let's see here. So let's see here. What's going on? And, all right, so we are talking about Mazdas. Never had a Mazda, but I have heard very good things about them. However, Mazdas, in the United States at least, don't offer manual transmissions, except for in their sports cars, which I'm not interested in. I know I said I like Corvettes, but that's different. So that is one of the reasons why I prefer Subaru to any other manufacturer at the moment, because they're one of the few manufacturers in the United States, at least, that offer a manual transmission outside of their sports car series, out of their sports car lines, because I don't need a sports car. It's the last thing I need. So let's see here. And Rick, yeah, you don't know if laminated wood will last for centuries. Glue might deteriorate like natural wood. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. And when it comes to something, look, I'm not a religious person and I'm not Catholic, but even I can recognize Notre Dame's like Notre Dame, dude. That's a big deal structure. That's a historic situation. It's not just the average Pentecost church that's getting thrown down, getting built up down the street. It's flipping Notre Dame. So, I can only assume that, that, yeah, they're going to do it right. Right? I mean, right? And so Kenny's coming in with, laminate beams wouldn't work in a dry dock situation, but most roof ridges today are laminated beams, a lot less bowing, warping, and sagging to those beams. Oh, well, that makes sense, actually. That totally makes sense. So I guess, I think it's safe to assume, like I just said, I'm not Catholic. I've never been to Notre Dame, whatever, but I think it's safe to assume that at Notre Dame, they don't do a lot of dry dock work. Just going out there on a limb. Guessing. Not a lot of shipbuilding or dry dock work at that church. Maybe the laminated stuff would totally work. Maybe. Absolutely. So let's see here. Notre Dame is the national cathedral of France. Really? Notre Dame's in the middle of a river? See, I don't know nothing about nothing. I guess they could do some dry dock work at that church or wet dock work at that church. I had no idea that it was in the middle of the river. Okay, so it's kind of ironic that it burned down if it's in the middle of the river. No, I get it. It's not in the water. It's on the water. But still, that kind of makes me giggle. So it's on an island in the stream. That is what it is. Nothing in between. How can it go wrong? Is that what you're saying, Andre, about Notre Dame? Let's see here. So, what was the other? Oh, okay. So I have one more thing that I was going to do, and I'm wondering if I can do it. Ooh, maybe I can. So let's see here. I had a bunch of things that I was getting, and this is what made me late today. No, that's not true. There's a lot of things that made me late today. But this was one of them. And I'm trying to get it organized here so I can show it to everybody, which is why I'm sort of looking off into the distance here, not paying the best of attention, but I think that's just what I did. All right, so next. All right. Gall dang it. Hold on. No. There we go. Okay. Yay. All right, now I've got something that I wanted to show you guys in a minute, but we're going to talk about Notre Dame for a little bit longer. Okay, so it's in the oldest part of Paris, and it's called something, I don't know, Isle du Sud. Isle du Sud is what the island is called, if you remember right. We all know that I don't speak French very well. How do we know that? Because I pronounce grapefruit pamplemousse. And this is a pamplemousse flavored soda, sparkling water, whatever. So we know that I do not pronounce French words right. So we're going to say it's the island of the city is what that's called, even though that's not what Andre wrote at all, but that's what we're going to call it. And let's see here. Across the river on the left bank is the Shakespeare bookstore, a famous gathering place for expat writers. Got it. Sounds like Glenn is impressed with your knowledge of Paris there, Andre. And all right. So Picolati is not here, which is unfortunate because she could have so much to offer, what with her being part of the court. But I believe Elaine is here, and I believe a couple other folks are here. Is eMusic here? Let me see. Hold on. Did I see eMusic or did I make that up? Well, gosh, I'm not sure if eMusic is here, but I know that Elaine was here for a minute. So we're going to talk now a little bit about the Hawaii version of this particular holiday, because the Hawaii version of this holiday is actually kind of interesting. It was developed, or it was determined in, I think, 1929, that this state of Hawaii, or that Hawaii territory, I think they were just a territory at that point. They decided that they were going to make May 1st the day to recognize the cultural heritage of Hawaii. There's e-music. So, okay, cool. E-music and Elaine. Obviously, I want your guys' input because I'm about to like say stuff that's probably not altogether right. And so you guys get to be fact checkers and and correct me. Or if you could throw down the point and laugh, haha emotes when I get things wrong, that would be funny too. There we go. That's my ha-has. So I believe it was 1927, 1929. I'm going to say 1929 was when some folks decided that May Day is Lei Day in Hawaii Nei, and it is basically a day to celebrate the culture and, I guess from what I understand, give each other gifts. But I don't know all of the nuances and traditions surrounding that holiday. Pocola T mentioned that there are different islands that have princes and princesses that hold court on this day. I'm wondering if those different islands, princes and princesses, come to Oahu, because it sounds like there is a major Lei Day celebration at Kapiolani Park. Apologies for mispronouncing her name, that park's name. I always stumble on it. So anyway, I think that there's a big celebration there, and I just have to wonder, do all of the courts, the princesses and the princesses, do they all go to like that celebration, or is it like on different islands that they have this celebration? So yeah, anything anybody knows more about Lei Day, I would be super stoked to have that info thrown down. But for right now, we're just going to talk about the random different stuff, the random different leis. And so, as I'm sure many of you all know, different islands have different flowers associated with their island. And consequently, on Lei Day, well, and actually any day, I guess, the leis that are made to with honoring and to represent the island where they're from, they have very specific flowers they're supposed to be using for them. And so now we're going through a bunch of the different styles of leis and flowers associated with the different islands. And that particular one is the red flower lehua, and it is associated with the big island, the island of Hawaii. And then these are just a bunch of cool leis off of the King Kamehameha statue, I believe. And I got that picture because I just thought it was a neat picture. And I thought that those leis were kind of cool too. So those leis were just, I got those leis for the picture. What can I tell you? But these leis are the Lokelani flowers, and they're pink, and they're the Maui lei. And this green one is, I believe it's the Kauai lei. It's the Mokihana. And then this golden orange one, that is from Oahu, and that's the Ilima lei. And then this one is, let's see here, that's the flower. That's a close-up of the flower from, Kaho'olave. That's the farther point of the flower, the farther picture of the flower. And I'm not sure how they make those flowers into leis, but this particular yellow bit, that is from Lanai, and it looks like a bunch of straw, but they somehow weave them all into a little lei. And so, hey, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, how you doing? We are talking about May Day, Lei Day, and Maypoles, and all sorts of things on this May 1st. And let's see here. So now that I'm done babbling about all the things, let's see here. Elaine was saying most schools have a royal court of students representing the islands at each school. Okay. And Andre says, you did give gifts and brought food for your family members on this lei day and went to a lei festival. Not too many leis, but lots of really nice people. So many poly people and lovers of Hawaii. Awesome. Awesome. And Elaine is saying the grades did a dance for the royal court presiding. Okay. And you saw one of the green leis at the lei festival, the Mokihana, most likely, I guess. Now, there's lots of green leis. There's the Ma'ile. Pardon me for mispronouncing it, if that's, I'm pretty sure I mispronounced that. But there's the Ma'ile lei, which is just like, a lot of leaves. And then, of course, there's tea leaves as well. But yeah, the Mokihana is the one with the little green flower buds, basically. And then this particular lei is kukui nut. That is from Molokai. And so yeah. And okay, that was the one that I showed. Yeah, that's the Mokihana. And that one was, let me double check. That's from Kauai. That one is what that is. And let's see here. Okay, so eMusic coming in with some real knowledge, which is Anthurium is the Hawaii island flower, but in hula, the red lehua is used often. Oh, okay, cool. Do you know, eMusic, what color the Anthurium flower is? I don't even know what flower that is, so I couldn't even begin to guess. And let's see here. Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me, Andre, that you're saying that the lehua is also associated with Pele, because yeah, it's red and it's all it looks like it's little sparkles, just like the lava flowing from the island, basically, right? Mile. Okay, so it's not Ma'ile, it's Mile. See, I knew I pronounced it wrong. Thank you so much. And, Glenn Paul, fantastic. Forgive your ignorance, but what exactly is a lei and why is it important to Hawaiians? Well, the lei is basically, is for lack of a better description, it is a necklace made of flowers. Now, I'm pretty sure that I am not the person who really needs to be answering the question that you're asking in regards to why it is so important to the Hawaiians. I do know that it is a huge part of their culture, and they are given to honor people. They're given at particular moments of celebration, of achievement, etc. And let's see here. If eMusic or Elaine could come in with much better answers to the question that Glenn Paul has than what I am giving, I would love it. And Vanilla Coke Pepsi. Yes, you do have Labor Day in Canada. We have Labor Day in the United States as well. But actually, Labor Day started out worldwide as a worldwide recognition of workers' rights. And it started out generally being recognized as May 1st is the day to do that. In 1886, the American Federation of Labor declared May 1st International Workers' Day. A Marxist association in 1889, worldwide, they declared May 1st to be International Workers' Day. And for various and assorted reasons, different countries have adopted other days other than May 1st for Workers' Day. But for the most part, all across the world, May Day is considered International Workers' Day. And so, yes, your Workers' Day is known as Labor Day. And I've got a graphic, actually, that talks just about that. So we're going to go backwards here. Hold on. All right, so we're back to my face. And now we're going to go back to the thing. All right, there you go, Vanilla Coke Pepsi. Do you see all of those countries in red? All of those countries that are red celebrate International Workers' Day on May 1st. See those countries in green? Yeah, we're the weirdos. We're the ones who don't. We celebrate it in September, just like you. Now, we've already discussed, what about the yellow countries? I don't know. I don't remember what the yellow countries are. So I'm not going to tell you what the yellow countries are and what the yellow countries did. I'm going to guess the yellow countries might have been like, yeah, sometimes we did it, but sometimes we didn't. But basically, though, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, now you know, May 1st, International Workers' Day, for basically the entire world except for, us. The gray countries do not recognize workers any day of the year as a workers' day. They don't have any recognition about the rights of workers, nor do they care, apparently. They are all countries that have no holiday for Workers' Day, whereas the red countries today have a holiday. And, the green countries in September, they're going to have a holiday. And there you have it. But now we're going to go back. We're going to go back to the leis. And, okay, Elaine, the lei is a garland of flowers or greenery worn around the neck, given at special occasions like ceremonies or graduations. Thank you for that clarification. I wasn't sure if a lei was only worn around the neck or if it was also an umbrella term for the crown of greenery or flowers that are sometimes worn on, during special occasions, hula performances, etc. I was 99% sure that crown of flowers had a different name for it, but I wasn't 100% positive. That's why I totally stumbled over the answer for Glenn. But yeah, that is a very rough cut, Glenn Paul, of what is going on with the leis. And let's see here. Elaine also coming in. Shell lei may be made of tiny shells. Seed leis, like kukui nut leis, are strung together with ribbons. Flower leis are about the chest length. Shell leis can be as long to the knees or shorter. And that is true. And the shell leis, actually, those are the leis those are the official leis that come from Niihau, and those shells are extraordinarily tiny and expensive and rare to come by. And so if you ever get a Niihau shell lei, you hold on to it with your dear life, because the person who gave that to you must be honoring you greatly. They're extraordinarily expensive and like I said, very, very rare. And so, let's see here. So today is a bank holiday. It's called a bank holiday in the UK, Glenn Paul. Here, hold on, let's do this. Okay, so, I wonder if, because I think, okay, here. All right, we're going to do this again. I think on this graphic, it looks like Britain is one of those yellow countries. And so I wonder if those yellow countries are countries that consider May Day a holiday, but don't recognize it as a workers' day. They just use it as a holiday. I wonder if that's what the yellow is. I am going to have to, I'm really going to have to go back and find where I found that graphic and figure out what the flying fork it is that those yellow people are, because gosh darn it, I'm really curious what that yellow graphic is, and I'm feeling really crummy that I don't have that answer. And so let's see here. That's true. eMusic. I heard this. I learned this, I believe, when I was watching the Merry Monarch Festival last week. It might have even been from you that I learned it from. The Niihau lei are the only ones in the world that can be insured. Right. The shells from Niihau shells that are used to make those leis are so valuable that, like eMusic just said, you can actually insure them. Most seashells are not insurable. Those ones are. Like, that's how big of a deal they are. And let's see here. Elaine, yes, lei is usually around the neck. Head hakus maybe made with flowers or leaves, wound round and round onto a ribbon or a braided string. Okay. All right, cool. So, and you were the one, eMusic, you were the one that said that you taught me that before, and I kind of forgot it. And now hopefully I can remember. I can remember, hopefully. And let's see here. We've got Vanilla Coke Pepsi, our young buck here, who's learning some things about workers' rights. And he said, admittedly, that you don't know anything about workers' rights. So that makes sense, my friend. You have not entered the workforce. That being said, Rick, who is old enough to not only have entered the workforce, but have worked through and retired from the workforce, he has some pretty good words of wisdom for you, my friend. If can, learn it before you need to know it and before you need to use it. There you have it. Now, I cannot speak for working conditions in Canada, but I can speak for working conditions in a capitalist country like the United States. And ultimately, workers' pay is always going to be the first thing to get considered to be cut. You might not get a wage cut, but you might not get a raise. That cost of living raise that you thought you were going to get, you might not get it. And it's through collective bargaining that you can make sure that things like that don't happen. The worker is generally the first one to feel the squeeze in any kind of budgetary issue within the company. And when you know your rights, if you know your rights, then that's less likely to happen. And you work for the church, so you don't know if that correlates. Sure it does. The church doesn't. The church still goes by labor laws. You need to know your rights. The church is not allowed to. The church has to follow the law. And every employer hopes you don't know the law, because they will manipulate the law if you don't know it. I had to explain to my boss once that you cannot just arbitrarily change a pay date. It's illegal. It's against the law. To which my boss said, "Oh, I'm sure that's not the case. Our lawyers wouldn't have decided it was okay for us to do this if it was." And I said to my boss, "That's great. I'm going to call the state agency in charge of all this, and we'll find out by tomorrow." Well, as it turns out, I did call the state agency to find out about it. And I was right. You can't just arbitrarily change a pay date, not without proper notice. But my boss was convinced that her company was not breaking any laws by depriving me of a paycheck for 2 weeks. They were breaking laws. Had I not known that they were breaking a law, had I not suspected that they were breaking a law, had I not suspected that my rights as a worker were being trampled upon, they would have gotten away with it. You need to know your rights, my friend. It doesn't matter if it's the church or if it's the school or if it's the whatever. You're an employee whose boss is going to do what's best for the company, even if the company's the church. It's just how it is, man. It's just how it is. So, you make more than minimum wage for your age and everything seems fine. So, all right, cool. You know, when, you can be complacent like that, but it still doesn't help, or it still doesn't hurt to know your rights. Because here's the deal. You could have a right to even more money than what you've got right now. For whatever reason. Be it overtime, be it danger pay, be it whatever. As long as you're satisfied, you're not going to know what you have a right to? My friend, no. You need to definitely look into what your rights are as a worker. You always need to know what your rights are as a renter. What your rights are if you're going to be a landlord. You need to know your rights. And yeah, Kenny from the Cove, you got lucky in your 31-year carpentry maintenance career with the school district. You got a raise every year. See, that's not the case here in Washington. You don't always get a raise. It's in the union contract, but some years you don't get that cost of living raise because budget cuts. Well, you have a right to that. So you need to know your rights, right? So, I don't know. I just, it makes me sad to see someone so young with so much of a work life in front of them who just willfully is barreling into employment willfully and knowingly, ignorantly, just like, yep, nope, I don't know. And that's cool that I don't know. It's not cool that you don't know. You need to know. You just do. but I will say that, that is a little bit more soapboxy than I meant to get on there with the workers' rights. But, and Rick, to be fair, some employers do honor the spirit of workers' rights, but plenty don't. Exactly. And you don't know until the question of, well, what are they going to do? Like when they have the opportunity to squash your rights or to, acknowledge them, you don't know which kind of company they are until they've made the right choice. So let's see here. Elaine, going back to the leis, because God dang it, nobody likes to talk about work. Work sucks. But because work sucks, you got to know how to make it suck less. So Elaine is saying the tiny shell lei from Ni'ihau are very unique to Ni'ihau. They're cheaper tiny shell leis used to make the long ones. Ni'ihau shell leis are usually around the collarbone length or a little bit longer, because longer means buku bucks. Right. Of course. Right. That makes sense. That totally makes sense. Let's see here. Glenn Paul, you owned a toy factory and the unions nearly ruined you. Workers should have less rights, if anything. Well, we can beg to differ there, my friend. And here we go. Kenny from the Cove. Perfect example. Your knowledge of state and federal labor laws and wage laws got you banned from the payroll department at your own job a number of times. Exactly. Because they counted on you not knowing. They counted on you not having a background or knowing the laws. They counted on you not knowing. And you did. And they didn't like that. That's that's why you should know what your rights are. So let's see here. Ohio, Glenn, take care. Have a good one. Yeah, exactly. And Kenny, you had to threaten to rat them out to state and federal labor people to get them to do the right thing. Precisely. That's what I'm saying, is there are some employers that are like that. And you need to know as a worker if you're working for somebody like that. Lots of people own toy factories who probably do have it's a toy factory. Come on, you've got your little toys at heart. But seriously, people need to make a living wage, and so that's just, if it's your right to get paid time off or get paid overtime and you're not getting paid overtime, that's a problem. Wage theft in this particular country actually outweighs, from what I've read, it actually outweighs shoplifting. But they persecute shoplifters a heck of a lot more than they persecute employers that don't pay their employees, right? I happen to know several people who work more than 40 hours a week. And in the state of Washington, if you work more than 40 hours a week, it is required that your employer pay you time and a half after 40 hours. Period. End of story. There is no excuse unless you're in a management position and you are a salaried worker. But if you are an hourly worker, after 40 hours, your employer has to pay you time and a half. A lot of places don't. They just flat don't. And then the worker is shorted on their paycheck. What's the worker going to do? They already worked. Oh, then they go take it to their employer. Their employer says, oh, well, payroll will fix that. And then payroll doesn't fix it. So, literally, wage theft is one of the most common forms of theft in our America right now. Wage theft. This is money that people have actually worked for, that they deserve, and their employers aren't handing it over to them because they refuse to acknowledge overtime, or they refuse to acknowledge paid time off, or not paid time off, but state mandated breaks. 10 minutes is a break that you get after 5 hours of work in the state of Washington. You get 10 minutes and you're paid for that 10 minutes. Some employers require you to clock off. That's against the law. But if you didn't know it was against the law, you're going to clock off because that's the rule, right? Well, you just stole 10 minutes worth of wages from yourself. And over a week, that's an hour worth of wages, roughly, that you just stole from yourself. And that's only working 40 hours or 5 hours a day. If you work, 8 hours a day, you're allowed 2 breaks. It's 20 minutes a day times 5 days. That's 100 minutes. It's an hour and a half worth of wages that you could have gotten, but your employer made you clock off for your breaks, even though that's illegal, but you didn't know it was illegal, so you did it. And then e-music, if one falls into workers' compensation matrix, you definitely got to learn your rights. So yeah, that's the story for today. Mayday, woohoo, got to learn the rights. And let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, you heard that the Oompa Loompas have a hella strong union. Well, yeah, but that's because, they've got those nasty squirrels will throw you down the bad nut chute if you don't listen to the Oompa Loompa Union, right? And let's see here. And Kenny from the Cove, breaks and lunch were paid breaks at your old job. Yeah, see, now in Washington, lunch is not a paid break. 30 minutes of lunch, they require it, but that's not a paid break. But the 10-minute breaks every 5 hours, absolutely, that's paid. But there are employers who want you to clock off for your 10-minute break, which is kind of annoying because, so you're on the retail storefront, right? Okay, your manager says it's 6:15, your 10-minute break starts now. So you have to walk 5 minutes upstairs to log out. Well, that's already 6:20. And so now you got a 5-minute break because it already took so many minutes to log. Yeah. It's just, you just need to know your rights. That's all I'm saying. And let's see here. So Elaine, salary versus hourly. One company only had salary workers and many had to work almost 7 days a week, at least back in the 70s and 80s. I refused because I was a single parent and had to have weekends off. I think that's changed, but not sure exactly. Elaine, I'm not exactly sure either. I know that recently in Washington, they've tried to fiddle with that, but you're right. For the most part, salaried workers, especially like in fast food situations and retail, they get the short end of the stick. I mean, it's just like, yeah, that's great that you get $40,000 a year. You're working 80 hours a week. It's just, yeah, that's so smart of you to say, no, I can't do salary. Salary sounds great, but no, cannot do that because I cannot work the 7 days a week. Because yeah, they end up with a leash on you. On a total side note, my sister, she did this on accident, but it was a brilliant accident. She got a job at a company that offered her a company paid cell phone, but she had just bought a cell phone and her cell phone was white and she really wanted a white cell phone. I don't know why. She wanted a white cell phone and the cell phone that the company was offering her wasn't white. So she's like, no, I don't want that. Well, because she had her own phone, she had no problem turning the phone off and ignoring work calls after hours. But every single other person in the office who took one of those company phones, they were on a company leash 24/7. They weren't allowed to turn those phones off. It was against company policy. Those phones had to be on. So my sister, because of her snobbish, I want a white cell phone, managed to enforce her work-life boundaries way more than everybody else who was like, oh yeah, I'll take the free cell phone. And she didn't, like she said, she had no idea when she made the choice what the consequences of the choice were, but boy, was she happy with her choice. So let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, an hour and a half of paid break every day. Wow, that is a nice perk. Let's see here. Andre, man, talk about tough unions. Those garden gnomes do not play. They will go medieval on you if you mess with their lunch breaks. Ah, that's funny. And let's see here. And Rick, my union advice for workers' comp was to private lawyer up. Yeah, it's, if you can afford it, that's probably the best way to go. And, yeah, gnomes, they need their lunches. That's true. Or they get really mean. That's true. Although I don't think they have 4 lunches. Isn't it 2 breakfasts? Oh, no, wait, those aren't gnomes. Those are those hobbits who have 2 breakfasts? Those are hobbits, right? That have the 2 breakfasts from Lord of the Rings. They're hobbits, right? They live underground. I don't know how many lunches gnomes need. I just know that hobbits have 2 breakfasts. Okay, so Rick, hobbits do second breakfasts. All right. Yeah, and Andre, the gnome, saw what the hobbits got and wanted in on that good stuff. I have to tell you, second breakfast sounds fine with me. Second breakfast sounds delicious, in fact. So, nothing scarier than a gnome that's hangry. Exactly. That is precisely it. And eMusic, workers' comp attorneys only collect after a settlement. Oh, well, then I guess everybody can afford a workers' comp lawyer. That's good to know. That's fantastic. I mean, let me rephrase that. I hope nobody needs to ever have this advice. I hope nobody have to call a workers' comp lawyer, even if they can't afford it. I'm glad that we can afford it, but I guess I don't really want that to be great news. It's just news that we happen to know. So there you go. And Andre, you've seen garden gnomes with guns. That doesn't surprise me. I've never seen a garden gnome with guns, but I have no doubt in my mind that there are garden gnomes with guns. And Kenny from the Cove, second breakfast, donuts and coffee at the shop while on the clock. See? What's wrong with second breakfast? Second breakfast sounds good to me. So let's see here. When you're in a right to work state, do you still get workers' rights? Well, yeah, they're just different. I mean, nobody has no rights, it's not like, I mean, they're still subject to like minimum wage laws and things like that, so there's some rights that even a right to work state has to follow, but yeah, but other than minimum wage laws, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know about that. eMusic, that gnome must have, eMusic says to Andre, the gnome must have come from Wisconsin. Oh, see, I was thinking it would be more like a Texas gnome with the gun. Let's see here, Kenny. Oh yeah, the gnomies can get what they want, can get what militant. You predict a gnome uprising in your lifetime. Okay, all right. So let's see here. Well, and Andre, I would assume that, there are some, a right to work state probably has its own minimum wage as well. That might very well be different than the federal minimum wage. So they would have to follow that law. And Rick, exactly. Those right to work states, you get the right to less pay, less wages, less benefits. Yes. And less access to collective bargaining. Absolutely. Right. Which is why it's good to know what your workers' rights really are, because it really sounds like, just like so much United States legislation, a right to work state really sounds like a great set of rights, doesn't it? Yeah, no, it's pretty much means the exact opposite of what you might think it might mean, actually. So, um, so, uh, Texas is a right to work state and they just use federal minimum wage. Okay, yeah, okay. But, are all of the right to work states still stuck at 7.25 for the minimum wage? Because I know that Washington is not, I can't remember what, it's not a right to work state, but it's something that's like one tiny step better, not huge better, just a little bit better. And our minimum wage is already $15 an hour. So let's see here. I'm wondering. My face just got white, probably because I'm reflected. Let's see here. So, okay, so there's actually 28 states that have the right to work laws, and Wisconsin is one of them. So, Rick, I'm going to put you on put the spotlight on you. Rick, Darlene, what's the minimum wage in Wisconsin? Is it more than $7.25 an hour? And yeah, eMusic, waiters, waiters definitely in a lot of states get less than federal minimum wage. They get usually like $2.40. So, okay, so Wisconsin still is a $7.25 an hour. That is just dumb, dude. Okay, $7.25 an hour. That is, okay, first off, you guys, I'm going to say hi to TP Poker. And then I'm going to say, TP Poker, I'm kind of annoyed right now because I'm learning something I don't want to learn. But other than that, I'm fine, and I hope that you're doing well too. Okay, now I'm going back to what I'm learning that I don't want to learn. Flying Flirpin' Fork, you guys. Seriously? $7.25 an hour? That's just dumb. So, Kenny from the Cove, if you want better than minimum in Texas, you better get into a skilled trade or the tech sector or work for Buc-ee's. Remember? Or work for Buc-ee's. Philadelphia is also at $7.25 an hour. That's the dumbest thing I've heard in my life. I mean, how do people live on that? That's ridiculous. $15 an hour is not even a livable wage in the Seattle area. So let's see here. I'm going to, let's see here. I really, really, really want to know if, no. Okay. So, this is not helping me. I'm curious if all of the right to work states are all stuck at 7.25, because that just makes me want to explode. Ooh, here we go. Nope, that doesn't tell me either. Gall dang it. Let's see here. All right. Wow, you guys, I'm doing all sorts of, I'm trying to do all sorts of internet sleuthing while I've got people giving away gifts. So thank you so much, Andre, for the pack of subscriptions. Yeah, that's the phrase I think I was looking for all of those subscriptions you just threw down. Thank you so much. And TPP Poker, whoever made that legislation, is probably making $300,000 a year. Okay, probably not making $300,000 a year in wage income, because those people are legislators, and they only make like what, 100 and something per year, 100 and some odd thousand per year. But given all of their investments that they have information on about the laws that they're passing and how they're going to affect the stock market, you better believe they're making at least 30,000 a year with all their investments. So you are totally right. It's just maybe not all on a W-2, but yeah, there we go. Let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, federal minimum wage is a travesty. Absolutely, dude. I'm telling you, it's just ridiculous. And Andre, thank you so much for the 400 biddies. And check this out. So you guys, I was reading there's the town called Shawnee, and I want to say it's in Kansas, but don't quote me on that. The town is Shawnee. I can't tell you that. Their city council literally just voted against allowing adults living together. Cohabitation is no longer allowed. And what they mean is 4 non-related adults are not allowed to share a home. It's illegal in that city now. So there you go. TPP Poker, their investments would not be on a W-2. It would be on a Form 1099. Different form, because it's taxed at a different rate. It would be on a 1099. I know this because I data enter these tax forms all the time. That's what I do for life. So yeah. Kenny from the Cove, only 100 plus a year, 100,000 a year. I'm living on way less than that. Absolutely, dude. When I said only, only 100,000 was in reference to the 300,000 that TPP Poker was referring to. Only 100,000 is more than twice as much as what I live on. So I'm not even looking down my nose at 100K. 100K, come my way. I got no problem. You can make my day. That is right. And Darlene, thank you so much for the 401 biddies. And Rick, Landlord Preservation Act, I have no idea what the deal was, but clearly the landlords were absolutely behind this. But this law passed unanimously, apparently. And I just don't understand. I mean, it's just like, so what? You just want these people to not have a home, to not be able to afford on... I don't understand anybody who is passing laws about how many people can live in a house. I mean, I understand passing zoning ordinances that don't allow for certain types of housing to be built, but for adults in a home, what? So what? When your kid, your kid would be allowed because they're related to you. I don't know what the ins and the outs were, but it was just, I was gobsmacked at the whole legislation that passed unanimously. What on earth are you expecting these people to do? Like, what, you don't want them to live in your town anymore? You don't want their money to be spent in your town anymore? You want them to move away? Or do you want them to be homeless on the street? Because people generally don't like looking at homeless people on the street. Homeless people on the street get a lot of people really angry, and they want to do something about the homeless. They don't necessarily want to give them houses, but they just don't want to look at them. So, Shawnee, you're creating a law that's going to create more people that people don't like to already see? This makes no sense. This makes no sense to me. But and TPP Poker, you do some dastardly things. Whoop, sorry about that. For 300,000 a year. I don't even know what I would do for 300,000 a year because yeah. E-music. Okay, now we're all turning into the cynical bunch. E-music laws are bought. And then Elaine, ET Aloha. Oop, gotta go back. Hawaii legislation just didn't pass the 15 minimum wage. Lower wages are not enough to live in Hawaii with high cost of living. Heck no. Yeah, Hawaii, Seattle, there are plenty places that $15 an hour isn't even a living wage. And so the idea of $7.25 an hour, I can't I can't even, I literally can't. And Kenny from the Cove, if I was pulling down 100K a year, you could go back to ordering cheese on my hamburger and having a full tank of gas. Kenny, I think right now, even people with 100,000 a year aren't filling their gas tank to the full. Have you seen the prices lately? And Andre, I have no doubt that that law in Shawnee will be overturned, but still, they did pass it. It's just ridiculous. And here we've got a couple first-time chatters. We've got Bass Papa, hey. We've got Moshman25, yeah. And we've got Booty Sniffer, hi. How you guys doing? We are talking about what happens on May 1st, the Maypole dance, Lei Day in Hawaii, leis meaning flower necklaces, not what you guys are thinking. And then, of course, there's the International Workers' Rights Day, which is May 1st. And so I got into a bit of a soapbox moment on that, but whatever. And that's what we're talking about. And Bass Papa, nice mic. What kind is it? It is an Elgato 3. And I love my Elgato. And let's see here. TPP Poker asking Booty Sniffer, how did you get your name? No, TPP Poker, it's not LAY Day. It's LEI Day. You got it, babe. You know what? Yep, there we go. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, the kind that you put around the neck, you know, the Hawaii style kind. And for those of you who are just joining in, just so you know, a lot of us folks have met on another streamer's channel, a streamer named by the name of Andy Boomatai, and he hosts a show called The Daily Pigeon Live, and he is based in Hawaii, and a lot of his commentary and content is Hawaii based. And since many of the folk here in the chat also hang around on that streamer's channel, we have a lot of Hawaii, we make a lot of Hawaii references. We talk about Hawaii a lot. Hawaii is a mutual interest of all of ours. So consequently, we do like to spread aloha, which is sharing love for one another and showing respect. Although, because we share love for one another and try to show respect, sometimes when someone does something stupid, usually me, we have been known to throw down the ha-ha emote, but we only say ha-ha in a loving way. There's exceptions to that, but we won't talk about that right now. So, so let's see here. E-music. Oh, she's not being cynical. She's being knowledgeable. Actually, I was a volunteer lobbyist at the state legislature for over 20 years. That's how I know what goes on there. There you go. There you go. Not surprised then. Not at all surprised. And let's see here. We have got Andre coming in with lots of stuff. Maybaum in Munich, Germany. Maybaum in Bad Tolz, Germany, in rural regions of Germany. I don't know what is going on here. So, let's see here. Okay, yeah, so May Day, of course, the traditional pagan May Day Andre is talking about, where there's the maypole, the flowers, the wrapping of the pole with the ribbons, etc., etc. And so, yes, that was what we were talking about. Okay, but as it turns out, this chatter has scattered quite a bit for an hour and a half, and it is time to wind things up. Even though we've got folks here who just rolled on in, we do just do an hour and a half every Wednesday and Sunday. Starts 5 p.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Saturdays, we gather here on Twitch at 6 p.m. West Coast for a movie. What movie are we going to watch next Saturday? I don't know. We'll find out, and I will post it on my Twitch schedule. But until that, I think we are going to wrap this up, and I hope to see you next Wednesday at 5 p.m. West Coast time, so we can resume more chattering with Stattering and all of the Statterbox crew. Thank you so much, Andre, for the biddies, and Rick, yes, thank you for the biddies as well. Elaine and eMusic, thank you so much for coming in with the Lei Day information and all the things that I didn't know that people needed to know. And I want to thank you guys for putting up with my soapbox, because let me tell you, I got on a soapbox there for a minute, and I know that we all know that I have soapbox moments, which is one of the reasons why we have the soapbox, emote, and I'd throw down the soapbox emote, except for I can't find it, so I'm not going to. But what I'll do instead is throw down all my Prel emotes because they're soapy too. There we go. That's it. Putting up the soapbox. There you have it, rabbit. All right. So that is what we've got. And it looks like, oh my goodness. Looks like we might have had a couple biddies that, okay, no, I think I got all the biddies. And yes, thank you so much for the congratulations on my Andy Award. I had no idea. I felt so bad that I wasn't, in the audience when it was announced. I feel like such a loser schmuck, but I'm still a winner apparently, and I can't wait till that award comes in the mail. And I hope to see all of y'all on Tuesday with Andy Bumatai Daily Pigeon Live. That starts at 6 p.m. West Coast time, 3 p.m. Hawaii, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. But if you can't be there with Andy, hang out in on Wednesday with me and us and you and all of everybody. 5 p.m. West Coast time, as I've said, and hopefully we can hang out again. Thank you so much, TPP Poker. You are super sweet for coming in, and I love your chat, your chat additions. And schmuck is a very dirty word in Yiddish, but luckily in English, it's a little bit less than dirty. So we're just going to stick with that. But you are right. You are right. I did slip a naughty one there past the censors. Okay, y'all. I am super stoked we got to hang out today, and I will see you on Wednesday. Take care.